Welcome back for another video. Let's talk about the T word. I know some of you hate the template in FPL, and some of you get your enjoyment from going different to what others are doing. And I know some of you are just happy to ride the template and just make those smaller incremental gains. Both are valid approaches to playing the game. I personally like to play fairly template with the odd lower owned differential sprinkled in. So given the different playstyles, despite the video title, we're actually not just going to look at the template team in FPL, but also the best differential players after, so all angles covered. The template team, in a nutshell, is the most owned players in the entire game, which I've had to keep within budget as well. Also, the expected data and captaincy widgets are back up and running now for the 25-26 season on the Focal app and on FPL.page. Both are completely free to use widgets. Also brand new this season, we've added per 90 expected data as well, which a lot of you asked for. It's really useful because everyone plays different minutes, don't they? And knowing who's got the actual best minutes per expected involvement is helpful. The captaincy widget also helps you pick the best choices every week to maximise your chances of points and success. Plus there's all the other goodies like the fixture ticker tool, market odds, suspension tracker, bonus points, live rank checker, and tons of articles written by me. There is a link below for you, or search FPL Focal in the App Store. You can go to FPL.page to use it directly in your browser as well. Trusted by over 200,000 FPL managers last season. Let's get into the template team then, and we'll discuss some differentials after that. In goal, the template keeper is Karaj. He's in about a third of all teams currently after securing that move to Brentford from Liverpool, and he's only 4.5 mil. The question is, what are we going to see from this change in Brentford side? Obviously, aside from the new goalkeeper, they've lost Frank, they've lost Norgard and Bumo. I mean, you can't really go wrong for 4.5 mil, and he's a perfectly fine pick, all things considered. The question is, who's actually got the best fixtures out of those cheap keepers? So, let's clear out all the teams with keepers over 4.5 mil. I'm personally also ruling out the promoted teams, but we'll leave them in. So that does leave us with West Ham, Brentford, Wolves, Bournemouth and Brighton. Those are the 5. So we've got West Ham and Brentford 2nd and 3rd for the opening 5 game weeks, Sunderland 1st. If we go a bit further back to 8 game weeks, Wolves are up in 2nd, Brentford stay 3rd. However, if we go even more granular here, let's filter it by defence difficulty specifically. Bournemouth shoot up to 2nd place here, which actually makes me think Petrovic is the one to consider. You might disagree with some of these ratings from FPL here, and if you don't agree with the ratings, you can set your own ones for free. A lot of food for thought there. The template defence is Aina, Frimpong and Wan-Bissaka. I'm actually avoiding Frimpong initially. Obviously he's got incredible attacking numbers, but Bradley's such a massive talent himself and an academy product. Like, is there a chance we see them sharing minutes on occasion? It's very possible. And likewise, I think on the opposite flank with Kerkez and Robertson. You'd expect Frimpong and Kerkez to end up Liverpool's first choice fullbacks, right, when they're playing their best 11, but is it a bit too risky from Gameweek 1? I think it might be. Aina's in my team currently, but yeah, as some of you quite rightly pointed out last video, they've now got to juggle European football, which is such a massive step up for a team that haven't been there in decades, and they've obviously lost Elanga, presumably Gibbs White. He does offer a 0.5 mil saving over Milenkovic and Murillo though, but he'll likely get fewer defensive contribution points this season. This table here will show you how players would have scored differently had the new rules been in place last season. So yeah, Milenkovic and Murillo, the 2 highest value points per million players on last season's data. They would have gotten 26 and 38 defensive contribution points each. So yeah, huge beneficiaries from those changes. Wan-Bissaka also appears really high up here for points per million, and that's ultimately what FPL is all about. You need to squeeze as much value out as possible with the limited budget we have. So yeah, he would have scored an extra 12 DC points. The table, by the way, is from Scout, who actually went to the trouble of recalculating every single player's points from every game last season. I added it up, and in total 2,681 additional points would have been awarded last season. So yeah, it's safe to say that we're going to see the points record smashed this season between that, the extra chips and so on. If you want to have a play around with the table, there's a link below to become a Scout member. There's over 40 pages of DC data alone. It's a bit wild, but it is useful to look at, particularly if you love data like me. Okay, let's have a look at some more interesting positions then. The template team midfield is Wirtz, Salah, Palmer, Rogers and Kudus. So yeah, home fixtures across the board here. It's no surprise to see Wirtz so highly owned, right? Big new signing, they're always popular in FPL, rightly or wrongly. Some managers will never touch new signings until they've proved themselves, which is fair. I think it's largely good advice, but Andy made a really good point on a tweet this morning. There are plenty of examples of new signings doing well recently, and he's given some examples there. Obviously not all of these ripped it up off the bat, but if you want to go for worse, go for it. Don't necessarily buy into that advice of avoiding new signings entirely. Obviously, once upon a time, new signing Salah smashed the points record himself, and the rest was history there. So yeah, Salah and Palmer, the premium duo, and that's not really surprising to me. I've seen them in so many drafts. I'm going to be doing a video really soon looking at all your drafts and how you're all lined up with your teams. I expect these two will probably be the most popular two on average. I'm kind of going back and forth on Saka currently. I didn't realise just how elite Gyökeres's penalty record is. He's taken 38 in his career, he's missed 4. But bizarrely, last season he got 19 penalties, which is absurdly high. I think it might be the highest in a season this century. He did bury all 19 as well. Can Saka justify 10 million without pens, or is Palmer the better choice for 0.5 million extra with penalties? Kudus and Rodgers are the mid-price template picks then. Kudus, another new signing, but also an amazing Gameweek 1 fixture, home to Burnley. Yeah, 6.5 mil, decent price, 9.6 expected goal involvement last season. Not particularly impressive, but the season before that he was better at West Ham, so we do know what he's capable of. 9.6 XGI, ranked 35th among midfielders last season. Rodgers is one player that's really grown on me, I'll be honest. The fixtures are there. It's a big price rise and it initially puts you off when you consider he was 5 million last season, but you have to factor in how nailed he is, the fixtures, generally plays 90, and in theory he's got room to improve further. Like, he's only 23, so I do think he's a really nice pick for 7 mil. 11.7 expected goal involvement last season, ranks 21st among midfielders. The template team front two is Bowen and João Pedro. Neither of these have actually made it into any of my drafts yet. I really hate the Bowen reclassification. Like, it is possible that Potter uses him up top more, but last season overall he did play other positions more. And he's someone that I think I've owned pretty much every season the last few years, but I'm not so sure this season. So yeah, he's going to be getting 1 fewer point per goal he scored and no clean sheet points anymore. I mean, not that West Ham keep many. Sunderland's such a class opening fixture though, so you can see why he's popular. And perhaps lots of managers looking at last season's points are not aware that he's going to likely score fewer points now. João Pedro is a funny one. Last season when he was 5.5 mil, he was really popular, but he became a villain for how patchy his form was. And now that he's 2 million more, he's literally the most owned player in the entire game. Higher ownership than Salah even. He was very good at the Club World Cup, don't get me wrong, and he could be ready for that step up, playing in a better team as well and so on. No penalties anymore, of course. Those will be Palmer's, you'd imagine. My question is, how often will he come off early for Jackson or Delap, especially if Chelsea are chasing the game? And how quickly does he get dropped if he goes through a patch of bad form like he did at Brighton? These are risks to consider coming off the bat in Gameweek 1, and that puts me off him currently. So the bench is Dubravka, Konsa, Guehi and Obi. Dubravka just seems like a waste of Newcastle's spot, and he's not going to play unless Pope gets injured. Konsa and Guehi solid picks, both 4.5 mil, I like them. Obi got the most Prem minutes last season of the 4.5 mil strikers, and he could get even more if Amorim continues to trust him. A few quick-fire differentials for you then. First up is Sarr, 6.5 mil, only 1.9% owned, which is shockingly low. He can be a really frustrating asset to own, but he's going to be unbelievable value in those moments when he's hitting form. Like you'll see on the expected data widget, only Salah, Palmer and Bumo and Bruno had a higher XGI last season, and they all had penalties as well. That's midfielders specifically, I should say. Some of them had set pieces as well, so his numbers are really impressive. Livramento, 5 million, which is 0.5 cheaper than Hall on the opposite flank, and it probably ends up the season on a similar points tally. The Newcastle defence, as we've seen over the years, can be absolutely elite when Howe gets them clicking. He's got Cher, Botman and Burn, 3 really good options for centre-back. Burn I think could be a good one as well for 5 mil if he can nail down left centre-back. Petrovic then. Well, yeah, we mentioned him earlier. Obviously after Gameweek 1 the fixtures improve. And obviously whichever keeper you go with, it's not just for Gameweek 1, so look beyond that. Really nice option for 4.5 mil. Semenyo. Similar boat to Sarr, he can be wasteful at times, but he does put up really good numbers. 125 shots last season. Only Salah and Palmer in the entire league had more shots, with 130 and 126. Sharda, can he step up with the departure from Bumo? Will he be getting more minutes as well? You'd imagine he will. This one feels a little bit more punty, but he has proven himself to be really explosive, only 7 mil. Bruno, 9 million, 8.4% owned. Again, this one could be the Gameweek 1 fixture putting people off. As that scout table showed earlier, he's really good for defensive contributions as well. He would have finished on 193 points with the new rules. Penalties, free kicks, corners, the main man. The only thing I'm really going to keep an eye on if I don't go with him from Gameweek 1 is, does he end up sitting a bit deeper with Mbeumo and Cunha in front of him? Whereas last season he had to do everything himself, but maybe that won't be the case this season. Strand Larsen, 6.5 mil, still really cheap for the Wolves main man. Generally played better when Cunha was out last season as well, and of course he's left. 14 goals, 4 assists in 30 starts, and I'll be feeding all the chances to him. And lastly, the other striker is Evan Nilsson. So it was 10 goals, 5 assists in 28 starts, so also just under every other game. He did take a bit of time to settle as well, but I'd say he has done now. He's had a full year under his belt, and he could be on for a much better season. He was injured for a spell last season as well, which didn't help his numbers, but I think he's one to genuinely consider. I'll be posting daily FPL content throughout the pre-season series, so make sure you're subscribed, it's free. And there's links below for my free FPL app and to join Scout. See you soon for the next one.